Thailand, as you know, has had problems on the Myanmar border for, I don't know what it is now, since 1984. It's 3.5 decades. It's a long time. In the districts further south, that is from Kanchanaburi up to areas around Mae Sot or Mae Hong Song, there are recognised camps where the Thai Burma Border Consortium has been providing food. Further north along the Shan areas, there is the provisions, the food and rice handed out by TBC was cut off a couple of years ago. So the situation that we're now going to get a briefing on is focused on an area that is quite vulnerable. There are several thousand people close to the Shan-Thai border in on the edge of very northern Thailand, who are living very precarious lives. Their personal security is under threat on both sides of the border. So anyway, today we have two well-known Shan advocates, Tong in the yellow, of course, and Leng have come down from the north. Tong, I suppose, rose to prominence when she got a meeting with George Bush in, when was it, 2002 or 2005? Okay. Bush, as you know, was a friend of the Burmese, I suppose you would say, or people of Burma, and he wanted to give things a bit of a lift, and I think he was very concerned at as the American government reaction to the Shan Women's Group's report at that time, License to Rape, probably put an international spotlight not only on the Shan and the Shan Women's Group, but that was a bit of a turning point, I think, for people in Burma people in the US to think that more needed to be done. Anyway, I remember working on The Nation at that time, and we had a photo of Shan-Thong on our front page, which was very good. Leng here has come down from the Kongjur camp, which is the only one inside Thailand. There are other camps there, and they're really struggling. So they're going to try and give a voice to something that's going on there. There's a sort of a new dynamic that has emerged, and that's in regard to the Wa. The Wa, as you probably know, are in the far northeast corner, up on the China border, but about 20 years ago, several 100,000 of them, maybe 250,000 of them, were moved down close to the Thai border. And the things that they have been doing alongside the Burma Army are now beginning to be a bit of a concern. So anyway, I hand it over to you, Tong. Thank you, people, for coming. They're going to give their presentation, which will be accompanied by graphics. They've got some very detailed graphics which are very interesting. I believe you will be able to get those off a website or emailed to you if you put your name down, but there'll also be an opportunity to ask questions as well. And the rules, when you ask a question, just please give us your name and tell us what organisation you're from or who you represent. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thank you very much for joining us today. I would like to first go to the background of why the Shans come to Thailand, particularly the Shan refugees to Thailand, a little bit of their history. So there are two main reasons why Shans fled to Thailand. One reason, the first reason was the Scorched Earth campaign by the Burma military in 1996 to 98. So this is about 20 years ago. And over 300,000 villagers from 10 townships in center and southern Shan State were relocated, forced to relocate at gunpoint. And during that time, this is about approximately 1,400 villagers. And a lot of the human rights abuses took place during this time, including the massacres of over 500 villagers during that time. And the reason was that the Burma military at the time SLOC would like to wipe out and the support, the cut of the 4 Cuts campaign to the Shan armed group led by Chao Yat-suk, who is currently the leader of the Restoration Council of Shan State. He was part of the Muang Thai army during Khun Sa time. And in 1996, when Khun Sa surrendered to the Burma military, he refused and formed again the Shan State Army. And to stop the movement, the Burma military used these campaigns, the forced relocation campaign in Central and Southern Shan State. And during that time, so if we look at the situation in the western border now against the Rohingyas, similarly, this is what happened to the Buddhists in these communities in Central and Southern Shan State. So over 1,000 like Buddhist temples from all these villages were left derelict, and about over 10 monks were killed who were believed to support the Shan resistance movement by the military. So until today, most of these like hundreds old temples, for generations are left derelict, and many of them until today become deserted. The village are now emptied. During the forced relocation time, the documentation also showed that how the Burma military used the systematic rape as a weapon of war against women in Shan State. So the report license to rape, which Jim has just mentioned, documents over 173 cases where over 600 women and girls were raped at the time, and sexual violence committed by high-ranking officers, and from over 50 battalions of the Burma military during that time from 1996 to 2001. And this also used, like mother and daughter were raped at the same time, the children as young as 6, and the oldest woman that was documented were over 60 years old during the report of documentation. And just want to show that how it's systematic, and this strategy is being used by the Burma military until today in the western border against the Rohingya. The second reasons why the Shan refugees fled to Thailand is because the forced settlement by the UWSA, the United War State Army, during the General Kin Yun time, in 1999, there was an agreement between the Burma Army and UWSA that there will be under the drug eradication reason that they said a lot of the farmers grow opium in the north, therefore they should move to the south in order to solve this problem. And over 120,000 Wa from the north in Bang Sang moved to southern border with Thailand in Muang Ton, Muang Sat, and Takilek townships. And also, this is very clear that it has been used as a divide and rule tactic by the Burma military, because the Wa troops can come down to the south so that they can fight with like the RCSS, who operate mostly in the southern border. And what we document is that a lot of the local Shan, Akha, and Lahu villagers who live in the southern borders were taken by the troops, UWSA, at that time. And they start taxing and also conscripting the local villagers and punish. So a lot of the Shans, local habitats in this area, like Shan, Akha, and Lahu, fled to Thailand. This is the second reason, and until today, they cannot return. Despite the fact that the Shans were forced to relocate, similar like Karen, Karani, and refugees during that time in Southeast Burma, However, even though like 300,000 Shans fled, and most of them come to Thailand, to northern border with Chiang Rai, Chiang Mai, and Mae Hong Son provinces. However, there was no official recognition of the Shans as refugees, even though they tried to set up the camps many times in Thai soil. But the reason from Thailand was that these people come for seasonal migration and are not allowed to set up the camps. So what happened is that the refugees, like for example, these are the 3 generations of people who came from the forced relocation time. When they arrive in Thailand, there's no refugee camp. They were forced to be the migrant workers to survive. So the 3 generations of the refugees now work in the farm and plantation like this in northern Thailand. And hundreds of thousands of them just doing all the hard labor, and forced to become the migrant workers with no documentation and also proper registration at that time. And the similar orange plantation like this in Phang district in northern Chiang Mai, hundreds of them. There are hundreds of them, and some farms, about 2,000 refugees currently working in each of them. There are one group of people who didn't come to Thailand and work as migrant workers. They hope that they can go back to their village in Shan State, and therefore they have tried to set up the camp near the Thai border from Mae Hong Son to Chiang Rai. And as a result, about 6,000 people, internally displaced people, are currently living in 5 camps across in Shan State, and 1 refugee camp, the only refugee camp in Thai soil in Gung Jaw. So about 6,000 of them currently in these 6 camps. They have been receiving the food aid from the international agency, despite the fact that they were not officially registered as refugees, for humanitarian support to these camps. And because most of these camps are located in the on the mountain tops, and the land for growing the plants and vegetables very difficult, and water down is very difficult as well. For example, some camps you have to go like 2 hours down to get the water, and this is very unusual for Shan, because most of the traditional Shans live near the water, and they can do the farming, and also are mostly the sufficient farmers. But with this situation, it is very hard for them to grow and make any plantations. However, in the support and humanitarian aid was gradually reduced after there has been changes in some of the transition in Burma, and strategies came up that these refugees and IDPs should return, because the new peace process have started when Thein Sein come into power. And finally, in October 2017, all the Shan borders support food aid was completely cut until today. The reason, the fact that the IDPs and refugees cannot return. So in our report and documentations, one reason why they cannot go back, we would like to share with you today, is the widespread and military build-up along this border of southern Shan State. This map shows the detailed map, show the border from west to of Gong Mung Meung in Mae Hong Son province. So the green is the IDP camps, the 5 IDP camps, and also the red star is the Burma Army camps, and also the UWSA camps are highlighted in blue. And these camps, you can see that it is heavily militarized, and about hundreds of camps of the Burma Army and the UWSA camps are currently lies just very close to the internally displaced people's camps of all the 5 camps. So it is very full of like hundreds of beds camps of the Burma military and the UWSA. And some IDP camps, you can see the Burma Army posts from the camp. So about only 100 meters or 200 meters. So they are very vulnerable situation. And you can see the Burma Army, the UWSA post or Burma Army post from the camp. Just like next, the post also a little bit higher, in the higher position of the camp, you can see. This map shows the details of the militarization near Kong Mung Meung IDP camp. Kong Mung Meung is opposite Mae Hong Son province. Mae Hong Son province and also in the Leng camp, they show that it is opposite this border, and also still very heavy militarized, and the camps also near, the posts are near the camps. This is Loi Sam Sip IDP camp. The Loi Lam and Kung Cho. Loi Lam IDP camp and Kung Cho refugee camp, where Lung Chai Leng come from. And this is Hoi O, sorry, I cannot use. App on the right, far right, that is the headquarters of the UWSA South, about 10 kilometers from Thailand. And these camps are surrounded also near the UWSA and the Burma Army post.
Can we just check with that, the UWA South, their headquarters, Hue O?
Hue O, yes.
Okay.
About 10 kilometers from Thailand. This is a detailed map of the Loi Sam Sip. Loi Sam Sip IDP camp is opposite Phang district. Maybe you hear about Doi Ang Khang. This IDP camp is opposite Doi Ang Khang in Phang district in Chiang Mai. And this is the far right IDP camp in Loi Ko Wan, the green one. And this one is opposite Mae Pha Luang district of Chiang Rai province, in Chiang Rai province. And you can see the, this is up in near the Mae Sai or Takilek border. Recently, there has been also growing the infrastructures closest in. Cannot use the mouse. So the map on your left is the new roads that are being built by the Burma military. The red one in Kong Mung Meung, and the Burma military have been expanding all the existing roads, but also building new roads in this area. And this is the roads, the red one, the color in red is coming very close to the IDP camp as well. So the Kong Mung Meung is opposite the Mae Hong Son province. So the new roads have been built by the Burma military. This is the area. So the new road, the outposts, these are the Burma military camps. Near the IDP camps in Kong Mung Meung, and the new roads has been built, and the existing road were expanded, and the new road has been built. So even this one, believe that will go to Karen, near the Karenni border with the KNPP, the Karenni area. So this is very worrying sign for the IDPs, and they know that this infrastructure is going on. And not only this area, but on the in Loi Lam, opposite Vieng Hang district, that one also the new roads were being built towards the Selwyn River. We also see the ceremony of the Burma government to construct the new Tasang Bridge, which is for local villagers. This bridge will it is more fearful for the local communities, because this can transport more, like increase the Burma military in this area, and also it's a good sign to promote also the building of the Tasang Dam, and this in this area. The Thasang Dam is one of the largest dams on the Salween and located in Meng Ton Township, and it will produce 7,000 megawatts of electricity, and it is an investment by Burma, China, and Thailand. And Lung Chai Leng will talk about this is the planned settlement in Meng Tha, opposite Kung Jaw refugee camp.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sai Leng, the representative of the Shan refugees and IDPs along the Thai-Shan border. And for us, generally, we can say that because of the dams, because of the conflicts, and because of the UWSA occupied a lot of area in our southern Shan state, that the Shan people cannot return. If you ask the Burmese army or the Burmese military, they might say that they can return now, it's ready, everything is okay. But actually, it's not true. For example, Hue Or village, it's was a very old Shan village, a very big one, but the UWSA now, the headquarters for the UWSA, they force the Shan people, and these people usually they come to Thailand, and for the dams in just as Tasang, now they call Mung Tun Dam, and also in Laika area also the other dams. So this area, they will become the flooded area. That's why the Shan people cannot stay there, and the Burmese military, they just push away the people. They don't mention where to live, their new places where they can grow something. And for the resettlement now, in 2012, the Norwegian Refugees Committee, they came to me, to our camp, and they just say that they have the pilot project and to resettlement in Meng Tha, which is about 20 kilometers from the Thai-Shan border. And actually, we feel that, we think that they need to discuss with the refugees, and then they can do the decision. But they just discuss with the Burmese military and the Burmese government, and then they said that we have a pilot project for you to return. It's not fair, and they don't mention about how we can earn and how many months or how many years they will support for us. They just say that, this is for your new places to return, and they just build some about 30 buildings. It doesn't mean the resettlement. We can do that, and we don't trust for that, because at first there were some Burmese troops and also the UWSA troops, but now more than the past time. It means that a lot of armed force troops means a lot of difficulties for the ordinary civilians. It will be difficult for you to imagine, because you live in democratic countries and you cannot understand about that. But for us, a lot of armed force troops means a lot of difficulties. They force the civilians for transportation, means motorbikes or trucks, for food, forced laborers, and also for the building materials. That's why we have a lot of difficulties. And that area in Meng Tha, which is about 20 kilometers from the border, it's not safe for us. And that area used to be well known about the drugs. So we are worried also about that. If we return, I'm worried about that for the drugs. So it's not the right place, and we are not from that area. They don't ask anything about our old villages.
The refugee resettlement project was a pilot project that was initiated after the Restoration Council of Shan State had a ceasefire talk with the Burma government in 2011. And in 2012, this pilot project started, and over 20 houses were built here. And the Kungjaw refugee who were staying in the refugee camp in Thai side were approached by also both the Burma military and also Burma police chief from Takilek for them to return to this area. And if you look at the map, and this is the Burma Army outpost, and this is the settlement areas. So until today, it is now heavy militarized. And in the 2012 ceasefire agreement, the Burma Army said the RCSS troops, they can move into this area and use Mueang Tha and Ho Mueang as their go back to their headquarters. However, until today, only even the RCSS troops, they could not, this agreement was never achieved. So this is the land that were occupied by the Burma military, the bases. So the this post, the light infantry battalions of the Burma military is just here. So now only used for Burmese government staff.
Can you say, Cham Tong,
Yes.
with that, who paid for those homes? The construction of those homes, is there international aid money from Japan or the UN?
This project was initiated during the Myanmar Peace Support Initiative, and that's why the Norwegian Refugee Council were involved in this. But we do not know that if this planned settlement is exactly paid, but people know that it was paid. It is built, yeah, because after this the pilot project of the resettlement.
Thank you.
We also see the signs of the Burma military aggressions in this area and the increased militarization of the Burma military. This map shows the 4 regional commands in Shan State of the Burma military. Before 1996, there were only Northeastern Command in La Salle, Eastern Command in Tong, and also Keng Tung, Triangle Regional Commands. But in 2010, the Burma military also built the latest command, the 14th Command, Eastern Central Command in Central Shan State in Kolam. And the blue area that you see is where the 300,000 people were relocated at that time. So now that was like forced and empty and left derelict until today. So over 300,000 people who fled to Thailand. This is where their homes are. And you can see that after the forced relocation took place, and Burma military now start these regional commands in order to have further control of the center and southern area of Shan State. We can also say that the total Burma military are now present in Shan State. Out of the 14 regional commands, 4 of them are in Shan State. And about 500 battalions in Burma, and approximately almost 200 battalions, 160 battalions are located in Shan State. And we can say that it is 1/4 of the total Burma military are currently present in Shan State, and therefore it is very, very heavy militarized. And the newest regional commands built after 2010 election. In Kolam, there has been also growing fears by the IDPs and also refugees in this border, because the Burma military used drones flying over near the camps. In October last year, the Shan Human Rights Foundation made the press release and showing how the drones came near one of the IDP camps in northern Chiang Mai. At that time, that was during the high-level visit of the regional commands. Kin Lai, he is the Brigadier General Kin Lai. He is actually one of the blacklisted, one of the 4 who were blacklisted by the U.S. State Department. blacklisted because of the war crimes in Kachin, in northern Shan and Kachin. He was leading the IB 99 at the time. And after that, he was moved to Gengtung and promoted for regional commands for the Triangle region. During his visit in Meng Tha and Meng Tho area on this border, the Burma military used drones, flying over the IDP camps. But in January this year, we see more and more drones near the IDP camps, and this is about 5 times in January to IDP camp in Loi Gaw 1, opposite Chiang Rai province. And it can be spotted, and some of them came to even the IDP houses and like right in the camp and then go around. This is the camps. So right in the camp is about 3 times, and then near where they can a little bit north, also the drones were coming. So this also caused a lot of fear and frustrated for the IDPs. And on February 13th, 2019, this year, the Burma military also fly shells, like 120 mm, near 2 camps in Loi Tai Lang and Loi Lam, IDP camps. And this was caused because the Burma army, because the RCSS searched one personnel of the Burma army inside Shan State in Meng Peng, which is very far north from this area. And the RCSS seized some of the laptops and computers, but of the Burma military personnel. Later, a few days later, they returned it back to the Burma military at the liaison office in Gengtung. However, on the following, because of that, the shells, the Burma military ordered 2 shellings near the camps, and one to Loi Tai Lang is from 2 regional commands. So this one was ordered from the Eastern Central Command in Kolam, and this Light Infantry Battalion 386 was ordered from Meng Tho to shell near Loi Lam. So it was very close to the camp, and fortunately the shells didn't fall right into the camp, but people are very afraid and also fear for the IDPs. So many of them went to the old bunkers that they built before, and then now the camps committee have to have the evacuation drills and for any kinds of further shellings. And even though the 2 camps were shelled, but IDPs in all camps are now preparing these drills and also the bunkers, and they are living in fear. And in one camp in Loi Lam, now every house, they have to pack 1 small bag in front of the house. So if the shells, if there's any shelling, everyone just take that, the whole family, and run to Thailand, to the closest. So this is the current situation that the IDPs camp, they are ready. So every family, they have to be ready for any shelling. So this caused a lot of fear among the IDPs populations. And from that shelling, about 7 families who live near the village from the shelling, they fled to Loi Lam IDP camp. So about 19 people, 7 families, right from where the shelling came from. And there was one baby who was just 7 days old, who with the mother, they have to flee to IDP camp, and now their village are empty. The villages are empty. So this is when they arrive in Loi Lam IDP camp. So they feel fear that there will be more shelling, and also the Burma military will commit further human rights violations in those areas and the shelling. So after 20 years of the moving south of the UWSA, and this is the area where they could expand in the southern border. And at first it was a certain area only in Meng some place in this region. But now the UWSA also expanding further, including up close to the Salween River. And this is expansion of the map of the expansion of the UWSA troops and base camps near this border. And you can see that it is very heavy militarized in near the IDP camps across Thailand, from Mae Hong Son, Chiang Mai, and Chiang Rai provinces. The attention was on the 30-year anniversary, the ceasefire anniversary of the UWSA in the headquarters in Bangsang, in northern border with China. And there were parade, and this is the military parade, and showing the strength of the UWSA in that border, but very little attention on the UWSA parade on the same day of the 30-year celebration in the southern border. And during that time, there was high-level commanders, chief like Wei Xiaoyin, and also giving speech, the top leaders giving. This is the still photo from the United States TV. And in the parade, there were thousands of troops. This is just 10 kilometers from Thailand. And also the speech by the Wei Xiaoyin and the commander said that the UWSA have over 10,000 troops in this border.
That's UWSA,
Yes.
10,000 troops.
In the official speech at the ceremony in Hue Au. Yes, this celebration in the south in Hue Au was a big parade and celebration as well. And this also no high-level Burma government official attend, or no local Shans allowed to attend either during this time. This is the new highway being built by the UWSA in Hue Au, the headquarters in southern Meng Ton Township. This highway is about 8 meters wide. Very big, and this is about 4 years ago that the construction have started, and the UWSA have constructed this highway, and many locals fear that this highway will also be linked to the northern headquarters. And also this highway can also further transport from near the China border from this area. And a lot of the locals also concerned that this will help also bring the Chinese, also link to the Chinese engineers that can go easier to the building of the Meng Ton Dam, the 7,000 megawatts of electricity that will be built in Meng Ton, the Meng Ton dams on the Salween. And last year, Naypyidaw allowed 40 Chinese engineers into the Meng Ton Dam site at the survey site. And the Burma military and the militia have to provide security, heavy security for them. And in 2011, about 3 Chinese engineers and 1 translator were also kidnapped and disappeared by unknown armed group in that area. But last year, Naypyidaw have given green light for the 3 Chinese engineers from China, 3 Gorges companies, to go and continue the survey of the Meng Ton dams. And this is also growing concern of the locals, and that some believe that this highway may also link to up north to the northern headquarters border with China.
Just quickly, while we're on that topic, there's been a suggestion that the Mung Tong Dam, originally called Ta Sang, then Mung Tong, but the talk that they, the World Bank, their subsidiary, the International Finance Corp, had recommended that Muang Thong was so big it should be cut into 2 projects. Is there any sign of that happening?
We have heard that information too from the ground, but the exact location is still unknown. And because 90% of electricity will be sent to export to Thailand and China from the 7,000 megawatts of electricity, and also this is continue to grow concerns and also worried for the locals, and that it is boosting and also making these plans ahead. And as we can see that there's been strong opposition on the mid-zones, and now this also concern for the Salween dams as well. Since they have moved, as you can see, that in the past this area are local farms of the Shans living in this area. This is in Hoi Or and near Muang Ton. This is in southern Muang Ton near the Thai border, only 10 kilometers from Thai border. So many of the lands of the villagers, now they cannot go out to farm. And also the land are used for the UWSA monocrops, mainly for the plantation, like the rubber plantations. And the water sources has been very difficult for the people on the ground, for the local villagers, and if they cannot also not trespassing the area, and if villagers were forbidden that they cannot go out in this area, the forests have been cleared down, and this is just right on the Thai-Burma border. The rubber plantation is growing, and local villagers, they are not allowed, and they are forbidden, and even some of them are punished for passing this area. All the forests and the water sources have been completely destroyed. We also see the growing tensions on the ground. One of them is the area where this is the old stupa of King Naresuan, who died in 1605. Here in this area, and there was a stupa in Muang Ton, and Venerable Kuba Bunchum, who is very well respected by people in Shan State, and also further famous in Thailand, after he predicted that the 13 boys who were in the cave will come out safely after 3 days, and further well known and very well respected. So he went together in December to the site of this old King Naresuan stupa, and together with the Burma Military Regional Command, Kin Leng, to renovate this stupa. However, on the same day after they left, the UWSA troops came and also destroyed the stupa, and including the taking down his statue of the Venerable Kuba Bunchum. And this was out in the social media, and also growing a lot like anger by the Thais and also people in Shan State of this action and by the UWSA troops in these areas. Rumors said that that night, the top commanders of the UWSA they had a very nightmare that the whole entire southern border of the headquarters were burned down to ashes after they do this. And so the next morning, the commanders called the local monks, that called the monks again and said that now you can build again. So now currently this stupa is being built and is now halfway building. That's the local rumor said. But now that this is also making more tension and also growing anger for the locals, people and civilians in the area. After 20 years of coming down to the south, so this area is called Thalang and Muang Kan, Na Yao, you may heard. So this is opposite Mae Fah Luang district of Chiang Rai province. So this is about 16 troops, 16 were come and live in this area, and they immediately forced about 2,500 local Shans, Akha, and Lahu live for Shan and from this area, and now they are currently living in the Loikawan IDP camps. And you can see the differences of 2003 and 19, that all the forests have been cleared. And this used to be very best place and land for farming and the rice plantation, but now it's all clear. The forests have been cleared, and it's just destroying all the water and also farming and also the forests of these people. So, and the original villagers from this area now, they're living in the IDP camp, so cannot return. Since 2012, because there has been decrease in the humanitarian aid and the rice portion under the new strategies of return and recovery, the IDPs, knowingly that there is a risk for them to go further north, about 15 kilo. This is the IDP camp. They try to go for a little bit further north from the camp in order to grow some rice, taking risks with the UW, knowingly that the UWSA troops and base camps are around there. But there has been many times since 2012 that the UWSA troops just come and stop the IDPs from growing rice in this area. And 2012, 13, and 15, and also since the new peace talk started, they hope that maybe they can go and do some farming. And the further land of however, the UWSA just come and surrounded with bulldozers, and coming from the headquarters in the south, in Hoi O, with tens of trucks and full of troops, and including from Mengkan. They come and then tell the IDPs, no, you cannot farm in this area. And further and further in Bang Kwai area, that's where they can grow a little bit of rice. And lately, this year, in February, the UWSA just came and said with the bulldozers, no IDPs allowed to farm even near the camps, so to grow the farm. So about 10,000 kilos of rice that about 40 families went there and grow the rice. Now it's completely stopped. So given with the crisis that there was no food aid, and then the IDPs also try to do and risk their life to go and grow, make some farm, but it is so difficult for them, and with this action and the stop from the UWSA. Our also further concern is also on the mappings by the international agencies. So the first one, you can see the border consortium map on your left. The Shan border camps are still here. We're still there, and in January 2018, all the Shan camps in the north were completely out of the map. So this is as well, with the UN OCHA report citing the IDPs area in blues, all the Shan border in the south were completely out. So we believe that this is giving misinformation to the international communities, because it seems like they are not there anymore. Like these people disappear, and there's no longer IDPs or refugees along the Shan-Thai borders. So this is very concern for us. Another concern is also the mapping. So this is from the UN Office on Drugs and Crimes maps of 2008 survey of the opium survey, but it was released in February this year. And you can see the citing of location of the occupation, like different armed groups in this area of the southern border. And this one shows the UWSA, and this one is RCSS. It seems like it's a wide control, but as you can see, the maps that I've just shown it to you, it's all the Burma military and UWSA troops around here, right, are all on this border, and therefore it is quite different, and it also may make people believe that, why these IDPs, they didn't go back the RCSS have a lot of areas, of the administration, and now they also have a peace talks, right? So this can also further provide more further misinformation and leading on the current crisis of the IDPs and the Shan refugees on this border. And finally, we just want to say that the ongoing occupation and militarizations in the southern border should also be dealt with, and there has been, and also should be, and the safety and the situation of the IDPs and refugees should be discussed, and also the dangerous and also the insecure situation of them, they cannot, and also why they cannot return is very important to highlight at this moment, while no support has been given to them at all completely, and also to end the long, like the war in Burma, and also this divide and rules, and also territorial issue and the conflict have been dealt with through the negotiation and the real political dialogue. And however, the current peace process and the nationwide ceasefire agreement process has not been stuck, and it is completely failed because even the groups that currently sign, they felt like there has been no progress, and even they are talking about the concern about this process. And therefore, it should be real political dialogue, and very inclusive and really addressing the root causes of the problems, of the political problems and the conflict in Burma, so that it can really bring the genuine peace, and end to the conflict. And our recommendation is also for the international government, communities and the foreign donor governments to put pressure on the Burma military to stop the militarization in the ethnic areas of Burma, and then start the new inclusive peace process, and also to urgently resume the aid for the IDPs and refugees along this border, because they're very vulnerable, and their safety is also very worry and also fragile, and that they're just ready to run, and any time at this time, because the shelling and the conflict and the fighting can take place, and they should be supported until they can return home with dignity and voluntary. So thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a microphone there. If any of you have questions, just tell us who you are. Tong, I might start first, if I may. Do you have any hope that the next election in Burma might bring something positive, or are you concerned that the NLD isn't providing answers?
The
answers for Shan people, I mean.
Yes, so there are several angles to look at it, and for first of all is the concern over the 2008 2008 constitution, right? That should answer all this conflict, the problem of the conflict, and also IDPs, refugees, the issue, and bring real peace, right? However, the 2008 constitution currently is not, going to be able to solve this problem, because the root cause problem and the war in Burma and the Naypyidaw still heavily control of the ethnic areas, of the natural resources, of all the land issues, and all this issue and the crisis had not yet been addressed at all, in the current, after the peace process have been started again in 2011 during this time. So there has been no discussion about this. So, and also our concern is, will the people and the new election will be able to amend the constitution, that will bring real political reform, right? And the root cause of the problem to address this issue. Yeah. And many of the area in Shan State are continue with conflict, and also there won't be inclusive, area for the election, but also there are large group of people who are denied of the right to vote, So there are so many issues that concern, that should be actually addressed politically. Like hundreds of thousands of them, they are gone with no status, and they just don't have that opportunity. So unless there's political solution to this problem, then their rights will be just, after the election, they continue to be facing the same problem. Yeah.
It looks like we're going to have a military government. Palang Pacharat will take power here in Thailand. Do you have any? What sort of things would you like to see from the Thai government, the new Thai government? What can they do to help your people? I mean, essentially, you've got hundreds of thousands of Shan working throughout the north. One, you'd like to see the IDPs able to come here if they need, and work permits or better, easier ways to be registered as migrant workers. What are good solutions that could help your people?
Well, any kinds of pressure, right? That we need to solve the political root cause in Burma. And for example, all the large-scale investment that are pushing ahead that cause more conflict and also displacement, and all that's why we need the pressure from the international communities to end the war and really bring real dialogue.
I'll give you one more. No one else is rushing up to ask questions at the moment. In regard to the dams there, Mung Thon.
Yes.
I know you had a press conference here a year or 18 months ago. You're worried about the impacts there that essentially with Beijing pressuring Naypyidaw to say, look, we've spent $800 million trying to build the Myitsone Dam, it's got nowhere. Are you hearing feedback that the Suu government may have decided to allow dams on the Salween, and particularly the Tar Sang Dam, or a bit further south, the Hat Gui? Are you hearing any information about those two dams?
We are watching very closely about this development because after 100 days in power of the NLD government, they announced that the dams on the Salween should go ahead. And that was giving the green light. And I have forgotten to mention in the previous slide here at the highway, in early last year, UWSA and their allies in group, they have actually announced that they will support the One Belt and One Road initiative by China, and they will use all means to protect those projects. And that's their statement, the official statement. And this shows strongly, clearly that this kind of projects and also concern may go ahead, and if you follow in the peace process, there has been discussion about bringing the UWSA and other groups, to come. So this is all, we have to look at that it is also may also link together, and that we are very, particularly the dams on the Salween and the Mung Thon, and can also be like sell off, right? Make it in exchange if there are a lot of pressure on the Myitsone dams, and they may also exchange the dams on the Salween, for China that are pushing very.
Can you tell us the date of when that announcement was? That seems quite significant. You're thinking that the Mung Thong Dam is actually part of the Belt and Road scheme. No. If it's a Belt and Road project, they will defend that dam. That highway, for example, how close has that got to that dam?
This road, very close to the dam, about 15 miles like this, only from the to the Salween River, to the. Yeah, this is the bridge. So So not very far from the highway to the Salween site, dam site. Okay, I will show. Sorry.
So in other words, this is the sort of thing we're seeing also in...
Sorry, here is the Tasang Bridge, and this is Meng Ton, and this is the UWSA. Oh, sorry. This is Tasang Bridge, the new opening in February, and this is the dam site survey, and we are talking about this region. Yes.
Okay, so the dam is... okay, you've got the Tasang Bridge, I can see that. The survey site, and the Mung Tong we see a little bit further down, that's actually just the army base.
Yes. Burma military and a lot of the operation.
Okay, and so when they brought those Chinese engineers down, that was at the very top on the survey site?
Yes, they were given the permission from Naypyidaw and told the different townships and also authority to protect and also to support the engineers team to go here.
Okay. Yeah. Are you expecting that there are going to be more people who are still living in that area that'll be coming down into Thailand?
Well, these people, they already forced to leave their homes 20 years ago. So in the map that I showed at the beginning, so these people they came from this area. And so this is the Meng Ton. So if the dam is built, the 7,000 megawatt of electricity, this area will all, this will be reservoir and will all be flooded. And already tens of thousands of people directly at the dam site, over tens of thousands of them already fled their homes at that time. So if the dam is built, there's no way that these people can never return home. Yeah, they will.
So one of the things that's been said before is that the reservoir of that dam is going to be massive and that it could cut Shan State in two. Are you saying it's actually as big as that shaded area?
Yes. Yeah. No. This area. In Kunhing, not all this big area, up to this area. Up to Kunhing Township. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right. It's a very... it's an ugly situation. Further down...
Kunhing Township is the strategic and also right across north and south and east and west. East and west, so it's here, so right in the middle. And there is also another tributary called the Pang River. And it is a unique. Kunhing is called 1,000 islands in Shan State. And the villagers in this area are actually living on different, there are thousands of islands, and this is a very unique area, and it will all be flooded up to this area.
Okay. I know down in Karen State, it looks like they've been trying to build a road down to the site of the Hat Gui Dam, so it's essentially the same thing that's going on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, if anyone's got a question, now's your opportunity, or else we'll call it a close and come and have a chat to Tong or Leng. Leng, do you have anything further you would like to say? It must be distressing for you to see what's going on there.
Yes, for me, for refugees, it's our Shan refugees is also big. Actually, it's a very big issue, but we suffered a lot, same as the Rohingya or similar to Rohingya. But at that time, the communication was not very good, and very few people from the outside world knew about that. And some of the people, the Shan people, they were forced to leave their places. And when they came back to collect their food and their belongings, they were just killed by the Burmese troops. But it's happened in our Shan State, but the outside world didn't know about that. We suffered a lot, the same. And also some of these troops in our Shan State, they're still using the landmines, and also the civilians suffered because of the landmines. And very few people from the outside world know about that. And also, just as I have told you first, the government and the military should discuss directly to the refugees or the IDPs for the resettlement, but they don't say anything until now about that. But if you ask, they said that they can return now, and if you ask about the landmines, they can say that they can clear the landmines within 2 weeks. That's not true. They don't have enough knowledge. They don't have enough instruments about that. So even the Burmese government and the military say everything is almost normal, but it's not true. For example, you can see in Arakan State, because at first you might think that because Rohingyas are Muslims and most of the Burmese are Buddhists, that's a religion. But it's not true, because now it's a problem together with the Rakhine people. They are also Buddhists, so it's not true. And for our Shan people, we are also Buddhists, but we suffered a lot. And these people, they have our Shan people. We have left our old places because of the conflicts, because of the dams, because of USA, and they cannot return.
Yes.
What kind of, I understand that the United States, I kind of protecting their businesses then.
Sorry.
There are all these scams of the Waha
Mm-hmm.
there to protect their businesses, or what are they doing there?
Actually, both.
So the question was, folks, what are the WA army camps doing close to the IDP camps?
Yeah, because it has been mentioned rubber plantations and so on. And
Are they to protect the rubber plantations, or what's their other purpose?
I think the expansion is for all, right? Including the also like further expansion of, and also to use, to make the conflict with the Shan, like SESS, who also work or operate in this area. So that is like the Burma military's divide and rule policy again, and also that's why the expansion against the local people and the land is increasing. Yeah.
So the Waha used as a proxy for the land.
That's right. That's what they've said for a long time. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could put your hands together, we're going to close it now. But please come up if you like and ask more questions. Thank you very much for attending. I hope you've enjoyed it. And please come back to the club. Thank you very much.
Thank you.